Complete internet failure, it seemed. But we're back under green here. As you can see, we're in the second lap rotation. Robert there in second place with 85 laps. Tim Hall in first. Paul Woosley in third. As you can see, he kind of dropped off there a little bit with 85 laps. Total median time between Robert and Tim Hall 1.97, 1.99. Now, with this dual feature that we're running here tonight, it all boils down to total laps made. So, at the end of this, we'll do a calculation of how many laps were made in the first race and how many laps were made in this second race, and whoever is in the lead will, of course, take that win. So we got around about a minute left in this heat. Somewhat of a big wreck happened down there on Dead Man's Corner. We'll go to investigate a little bit. A little micro view here. Looks like Bruce might need a guide flag out there.
Hey, Chelsea, you got it, Gary? Got him a guy like big guy.
So this might be just a few minutes. As you can see here in the pits, we're going over there to Bruce's pit. He needed a guide flag. Must have severed a guide flag out there on his car. Jason Howard there with a serious intent look like he's going to win this race. Paul Woosley laid back, cool there next to that stool, leaning up against the table, and Glenn Burden ready to get back racing, hooking his car up on red. See Tim Hall there, laid back cool, just a couple cool dudes. Tim Hall and Paul Woosley hanging out together. Two hardcore racers. Cracking jokes. Having a good time. So I'll take you to our pinball leaderboard for this month. We just renewed this for September. We do this every month. We restart the pinball scores, and whoever's on top at the end of the week gets 30-minute track time. Whoever's on top at the end of the month gets a free hour of track time. And it's just something to kind of go for. Plus, you get bragging rights for being number one on that pinball table. We got 3 pinball tables. Of course, you see Godzilla and Rush here. But we also have Mandalorian, which isn't showing up for some reason. I'll have to work on that. So I'm not quite the best tech guru. Sometimes I have to have my brother help me with things like that. But we'll get that worked out. Like I said, you guys come on down, play a little pinball. We have pinball tournaments every week. Take a look at our website for further details on the calendar of how we hold races and what we do with pinball and stuff here, as we're all pinball avid players here. And we also encourage tilting of the machines to better your chances. Several years of slot car experience there in the pits. Everybody there just both in actual racing, dirt track, asphalt track, drag racing, all these guys. Tim Hall, actually a flag man for several years down at Windy Hollow. You might know Tim Hall. A lot of people do. But every one of these guys, almost every one of them addicted to the motorsport scene. Sometimes we have the NASCAR race down here at Lanes Raceway playing. Sometimes that, kicks Facebook off because of copyright issues. So we have to turn that down sometimes, that and music. But it's a good place for guys to come whenever the summertime's over. They can come here and they can have some good racing, good teching going on, just like the real races, and get home in a decent hour. As these races don't take quite as long as the races at the dirt track or the drag strip do. I've seen some slot car races, drag strip races that took quite a bit, couple day outings and stuff like that online. But our drag racing scene here currently at the time of filming this is not very huge yet. But we just now opened and we want to get people interested in drag racing. Is here in the shop we sell assortment of drag cars, drag frames, motors, and mag wheels and stuff to pretty up your drag car and stuff like that. I know Glenn Burton's got a real nice looking coupe that's painted up like teal and metallic blue, and it really hooks up on our track. Goes about 45 mile an hour down that little strip. And I get the question all the time, how do those drag cars stop? Well, we put like Group 7 heavy glue at the end of the track, and I'll tell you what, man, it comes to an instantaneous stop. It's almost mind-boggling, especially if you've never seen it before. It'll really surprise you how quick them cars stop, because they're like, well, you're going to ram it into that pillow every time. You can see that pillow up there in the top section right above Robert's head there, just a little bit to the right of his head and a little to the left of Tim's head. But believe it or not, it doesn't hardly ever hit that pillow unless you got something off with your wheelie bars or you ain't running wheelie bars at all, and the glue will pull you out of the track. It grabs you so hard. Looks like they're about to get these cars situated here. Guys out there talking about how it rained today. Let's take a look out at the parking lot real quick. Looks like the sun's back out shining. It doesn't look like it's rained in a little bit. The wind's even kind of died down a little bit. As you see our little friendly cobweb there that I haven't cleaned yet. Not really blowing in the wind. I've been thinking about it for a while, about cleaning that thing, but now I'm kind of thinking about keeping it. Kind of lets me know if the wind's blowing. We did lose our friendly spider that was up there by the lights. You know, I like to keep them spiders around. They keep the mosquitoes and stuff down, which I guess ain't really a big issue right now, but it will be in the summertime. Let's get a little bit closer view there in the pits. They're looking at something. Okay, looks like my brother, he's showing the guys this new class we might be running, 4 or 4.5 inch, kind of like the GRC class, but they're going to be running open wheel modifieds, or not open wheel modifieds, excuse me, dirt late models. So the 4.5 will be a box, I think he said crate motor class, and so all the guys that have GRCs can get one of those bodies and run the crate motor class. But then there's going to be a faster class, which will be a 4-inch GRC frame that'll be running an Eagle motor, kind of like our NASCARs. And that's going to be the super late model class. So that'll be like the pro class for the super late models. Of course, around here, these guys love dirt. And I'll tell you what, there's some guys around here that really know how to drive some dirt cars for sure. I would say in the whole nation of the U.S., especially in Kentucky and Indiana area, is, in my opinion, the best dirt racers there is. But that's just an opinion. I know there's other people that would probably argue that, but you know, I know the Terry English and his boy, they are quite some front runners when it comes to the super late model scene. And I've always been fans of them and Scott Bloomquist. Of course, the guys that know those guys would probably attest that they're pretty good racers themselves. My brother actually was in the open wheel modified class, AMS class, for several years. Of course, he just kind of got a little older, and his work and everything keeps him from it a lot of the time. So, kind of came up on it because it does get quite expensive whenever you're racing in those higher levels like that. It's not like slot car racing, where you can come here and you can get you a guide flag for a little less than $1, you know, or you can get you a pair of braid for $1, and you're back out racing. You know, you mess the whole front end of your car up, and you might be thinking multiple thousands. That looks good. All right, here we are. We're going green again. We got a big cluster of those guys right now going into Dead Man's Corner there, and we got a dead car on yellow down there. Must have come out of his lane, popped out. Looks like Bruce Bullington's car there kind of just lipped out of red, fell down. My dad probably going to notice that there's a little bit of a bend there in the nose. This should be a short fix here. So he's putting him there behind red lane and to get his lap back, because he must have came out before the start finish line there. That's where our laps get counted. There's a dead strip there and it counts it. A little bit of a chirp there on one of the cars. I heard maybe a gear getting a little bit loose. So got another car off. That looks like Paul Woosley's car there coming off of orange. So we see here, you know, Paul Woosley, a strong front runner on the orange track, or the GP track as I call it, Grand Prix track. He finished first a while ago in that. His median time's a little bit shy of Tim and Robert's. We got them neck to neck on purple, blue, and orange there. Well, that's Robert, Paul, and Tim. Those are your front runners right there, really giving it all they got. Looks like Paul's falling a little bit behind. Of course, Paul on the higher lane. Ooh, as we get a track called very ferociously. Yeah, we got a break out there for Jason Howard. So somebody got on Jason's lane and broke out. And that gear's getting worse. As we hear it really grinding, I can't really tell from here in the booth who's got the bad gears. We got two cars going down to the bottom. One of them Bruce Bullington's car, and the other Glenn Burton's car. These guys must have got into each other after the crook of the track, possibly. A little bit of back end sway, possibly hitting from Glenn's car maybe to Bruce's car, unseating both of them. But all these cars really not really bent up all that bad, so they're all handling pretty well. As we're fixing to go back green, got that cluster there of people, blue and orange and white and red. I'm telling you, that gear is not going to hold on much longer. As Bruce Bullington hits the outside wall there, coming out of Dead Man's Corner. Quickly put back on. Right now, the fastest median time we have out there is Robert Whitaker. Very close behind him, Tim Hall, a thousandth of a second off from that. Everybody else within a 2-second range. As we end the second heat there, and we take a quick look at the track mate statistics here. After two heats, we can kind of get a little bit of a comparison between Tim and Robert, as they're both kind of racing pretty close together. Robert turning only 57 laps to Tim's 62 on blue lane. Jason Howard and Tim Hall, to compare their two, within 6 laps of each other. So Tim Hall, doing what Tim Hall do on this tribal track, seems to be somewhat running off and leaving people with an average lap 2 over everyone else. Robert Whitaker following close in there with 58 laps, and Paul Woosley with 57. Total time, of course, Tim in the lead with that, 269.93. Total laps, Tim Hall in the lead with 121, 116, Robert Whitaker, and our finishing up podium with Paul Woosley with 114. As we go into the pits real quick to see how these guys are doing. As you see, Bruce Bullington doing what he does best, working on that car, getting her back underway, and seeing if she's level there on the block. Trying to figure out why this thing possibly ain't hooking up like it should. it's weird. Sometimes you get out here on the racetrack, everything goes for you, kind of like how it was going for Paul on the orange track. You get on a completely another track, and it's like you just can't get the car to go. Uh, I don't know. I guess you'd say, as an old poker star used to say, call that jellyfish. You just something in the air, humidity maybe. I don't know. It might just be the way you're feeling, but sometimes things just don't go for you, and it goes for everybody else. The more, of course, the more experience you have, kind of like Tim Hall there, he's got quite a bit of experience. The stronger nerve you got, and less things bother you. But I'll tell you what, I'm really impressed with Bruce as he's started doing this. Him and Jay Latham, of course, I grew up with Jay, and my brother grew up with Jay, and I guess Jay got Bruce into it, and Bruce started coming up here and racing, and he's taking it serious, and I commend him for that because he's going to figure it out. When he figures it out, he's going to be a tough guy to deal with for sure. Paul Woosley there, fixing to put his car back on. You see Jason Howard there in the high bank putting his car on blue. Another veteran there, Glenn Burden putting his car on red. It's got about 10 seconds until we start here. Looks like Bruce is still going to be in the pits. Let's see if they're going to stop this or not. Yeah, it looks like they're going to stop the track for him. Here at Lanes Raceway, we had to make a decision. Who's going to run the track? Is it going to be me here in the booth, or is it going to be the guys out there that are actually doing the work, our track marshals? We all decided after about the third or fourth race that it should be the track marshals because they got a down on the track kind of view of everything. And, I can't really see all that well with this camera, even though these cameras are decent cameras and I can see for the most part what's going on. Down there in Dead Man's Corner sometimes, depending on where people are standing, I can't really see stuff. And there's been a few times we've had some really close finishes. I've had to get up out of the booth to go check it. But here recently, I've just been asking the track marshals who's won, and they tell me, and then I just relay it to you guys. So at the end of the day, the track marshals are the boss, and whatever they say goes. As you see Bruce there, putting his car back on green, and we're fixing to get this third round underway as we keep our eyes on Tim Hall and Robert Whitaker. Paul Woosley there in third place. Going to have a little bit of a short change here as he's on a longer lane. Him and Glenn both. Jason Howard has probably a opportunity here to gain some laps on him and Glenn. As you see Glenn's car there probably not taking off. I don't see him turning a lap yet. But a real radical squeal of a sound. Most likely a gear. But yeah, if you take a closer look there at Paul Woosley and Glenn Burden, as you can see, they're fighting for third place. Both of them have pretty much an equal opportunity to gain or keep the other from gaining laps as they're on the high lanes. But they're going to be losing laps to Jason Howard and Bruce Bullington as they're lower down on the track and have a better ability to keep the momentum of their cars up to speed. Now that goes without saying that, we do have people that know how to control cars a little bit better and a little bit higher echelon. They'll drive it in a little deeper and be able to keep those cars to hook. But for the most part, even the best of the best, can't run on the wire 24/7. They may be able to do that for a couple laps, but eventually they're going to break and wreck their car on those lanes. So you got to kind of run consistently over just trying to run the fastest lap every time. As we get a car coming off of purple there, Tim Hall. Or no, that was black. I'm sorry, Robert Whitaker. Tim Hall's down here on the high banks next to Glenn. Eyesight's failing me. Like I said, I can see some things, but some things kind of fool the eye down there on Dead Man's Corner. see Tim Hall's car there on purple just really slaying some lap times. He's really got this car dialed in for this tri-oval track. As you see Robert Whitaker coming off again, whether or not that was intimidation by Tim Hall, who knows? But Tim Hall's cranking up behind Robert Whitaker there on black, just really giving it all he can give as Paul Woosley takes a hard hit there in the high banks. They put him back on white. It could have possibly been touched a little bit by Glenn. Sometimes when you're running this hard, you just got to give what you can give, you know. And it's hard to escape some of these whenever you do try to pass these guys. Because really, if you think about it, this tri-oval, even though it's got really long straight stretches, you're at full speed usually on those straight stretches, so they're there and gone. You spend most of your time in one of the three turns here on this tri-oval. This is only a medium-sized tri-oval, so it's really, really quick, even for these slower type cars. Seems like Paul Woosley got his car there on white back under control. With the median time on purple of 1.88, Tim Hall really just slaying the competition right now. Robert Whitaker close behind with a 1.95. Everybody else in the 2-second region. But of course, like I said, Glenn and Paul Woosley up on the higher lanes. Jason Howard there on blue. Relatively close, as it looks like maybe Paul Woosley took another hit there. Whether he came out on his own or he took a hit or something, he's back off the track there in the high banks. I reiterate, you can carry a whole lot more speed on the white and red lanes, and this tends to be somewhat catastrophic coming out of the crook of the track sometimes. Looks like Glenn Burton took a hit up there in the high banks, carrying enough speed to do so. Jason Howard turning respectable lap times there on blue against Robert Whitaker there on black in the shorter lane. As we get somewhat of a rider there on Robert Whitaker's lane there through the start-finish line there. He catches a breakout. As Bruce Willington came off and landed on his lane. Ooh, that was a very dangerous pass by Purple there. Robert Whitaker, I think it actually scared him off the track a little bit as Tim made that really professional pass there on Purple. Even made me nervous. And that ends this lap's heat as we go into the pits to take a look at these guys. But first, we're going to take a look at the track mate, compare some data for what we got so far for the third round. We got some pretty good information there on red, Glenn, Bruce, and Jason. 47, 48, and 52 laps. Jason Howard really doing well. Trying to find, looks like white lane, Glenn, Paul, and Bruce, all within 2 laps of each other. Tim Hall really putting it down on purple lane yet again. Tim Hall on purple and black lane really puts in some really fast laps. If I'm not mistaken, the last time he was here, he put 70 laps, I think, on purple. So Tim Hall's right at home on a tri-oval. I think that's what he likes the most. Robert Whitaker, last time I'd seen him, his car was running pretty well good too, even on the orange track. Well, now that he's on the circle track also, his car's running quite fast also.
The race starts in 1 minute.
20 seconds as this race is about to start again. You see there in the high banks, Tim Hall's car there on black. This is where I like to draw your attention to Tim Hall, as when he's down on the lower lanes, he does some impressive laps down on the lower lanes. See Paul Woosley rounding the high banks there. 4 seconds as we get ready to go green. Okay, we've got a yellow flag for some reason. Maybe somebody got their controller hooked up wrong or didn't get a sticker on their car. Looks like Bruce Bulletin maybe didn't have a blue sticker on his car. Yes, watch that black lane. Watch how good that car just hooks up there on black lane. Oh, we got a car off. Looks like Paul Woosley. Oh, we got another car off there on black. That could have been really, really a hard hit for Tim Hall if that car wasn't really sucked in down there. Jason Howard came off and fell to the bottom of the track on the high banks there. You see Randy Kirtley going to put him there behind the start-finish line so he gets that lap. We still see Paul Woosley holding on to that third place. We might see a third place lap change between him and Jason Howard. Jason Howard's going to be able to turn quite a few more laps than Paul Woosley being on the bottom, as we did see that change just take place. But then Paul Woosley took it right back. Jason must have came off the track. But I believe before this heat's done, you're going to see Jason sitting there in the third place. Paul Woosley and Jason Howard just neck and neck, really giving it all they can give. As we get a track call here, a car, it sounds like maybe came off the track. But Jason Howard able to get in front of Paul Woosley and collect a couple laps there. As we see pure debacle down there on Dead Man's Corner. My brother having to get the sheep's hook or the shepherd's hook to be able to get one of the cars that's so far up underneath the orange track that we got to go look at Dead Man's Corner. He's just outside of the view of Dead Man's Corner to see what actually is going on there, but he had to reach deep to get it. If you're new to this, watching these slot car races, would hope that you would give a like and subscribe to either our Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch channel, and share it to your friends that are fellow race fans. And if you're close within the region of Livermore, Kentucky, here in Western Kentucky, we would really like it if you stopped by and maybe raced a little bit with us. Because we always like newcomers, and we'll tell them everything we know and try to get them into this really cheap hobby and interesting sport. As we see Paul Woosley getting put back there on red. Paul Woosley probably going to be breathing a sigh of relief come next rotation. He'll be on green and finally off red and white, as there isn't a slot car racer alive on a trial that loves running red or white, I don't believe. If they are a mythical creature indeed. Robert Whitaker and Jason Howard, yellow and purple, really just battling it out there. Neither one giving it an inch, as you see Robert Whitaker playing, biding his time, putting the intimidation factor there on Jason Howard as he rolls just barely past Bruce Bullington at the start-finish line. Really good tactic there. I use it myself quite often. Just ride along the backside of people until they mess up, and then you usually get a lap on them before somebody can shut the track off and get their car back on. It's a good tactic. It looks like Robert Whitaker's trying to make the pass possibly here, but then you see Tim Hall come up in there out of nowhere on black. Maybe gave just a little bit of a nudge there on Robert Whitaker, kind of bumped him out of the lane there. I don't think he got his lap there. He needs to go behind the start-finish line there. But I'll tell you what, that was some tight racing there. Now, I know for a fact Robert Whitaker and Tim Hall's car is relatively close in speed, and you can just see how much of a difference it makes being on that lower lane as you see Tim Hall just running off and leaving Robert Whitaker there on yellow. Robert Whitaker just really gave the bullhorns there to Bruce Bullington, sending him off the track and colliding with Tim Hall there on the front stretch next to the start-finish line. As they both need to go behind that line after such a hard hit. That's the end of this lane rotation, as they're going to all head to the pits, and we're going to head to TrackMate and do some comparing of the data. So now that we got Robert Whitaker and Tim Hall both running their black and purple lanes, you can kind of see the difference in how their cars are running. As Tim Hall, yet again, for this night, running off and leaving the competition with over a 6-lap difference on purple lane alone. Jason Howard and Robert Whitaker running very closely together. Jason really a strong improvement, even from the last race that he was in, climbing up the leaderboards. As Jason got third place in our first race, and he's looking to shape up to maybe get another third place in this one. Jason comes from RC racing and spent a lot of time in that. He let me know just a couple of days ago that he was one of the best pit mans there was, that he'd run them cars up in there and he'd have them fueled up and ready to go within just a couple of seconds and dropping them right back down onto the track and ripping on through. So we got 1 minute and 40 seconds here left to go. I'm going to take a small break and I'll be right back with you. right, as we're back fixing to go green, first lap, of course, done by Tim Hall there. Jason Howard with a really outgoing take up the lead there on black with a median time of 1.89. Tim Hall there on yellow as we have a big wreck there in the crook of the track. Looks like Robert Whitaker and Glenn Burden. Bo McPherson chiming in off of Facebook says, I can't believe Jason is on the podium, only when I'm not there. As we get a car coming off there of the crook of the track and two other cars involved in that. Looks like Paul Woosley and Glenn Burden also involved in that wreck. My brother taking a look at this other car. Looks like he had to put a little bit of a hand bend in that as it took quite a big hit. I don't know if that is Bruce Bullington's car or not. Guess we'll know here shortly when they put it back on the track. Yes, that was Bruce Bullington's car. That was a hard hit. As they cluster up down there in Dead Man's Corner, it looks like Bruce Bullington led off there. Probably a wise decision. As everybody else went bull rush in there. It doesn't always come out clean like it just did. As we get another track call, possibly Paul Woosley there coming out of the track. Don't know if he got his lap or not. They're going to put him back there on green anyway. If he didn't get his lap, he'll break out. Of course, you'll see the black dots pop up, or the blackout over their time. We go green again, and they're on orange and blue. I mean, I'll tell you what, Robert Whitaker and Glenn Burden just battling it out as we cluster up again, and Paul Woosley takes a little bit of hit out of that orange and blue cluster between Glenn and Robert. Gets knocked to the higher part of the high banks there on red. Paul Woosley gets safely put behind the lap counter to get him a lap. See Tim Hall really making a hard push there on yellow. Came out of the track as we're halfway in the heat, 1 minute left to go. Got a track call there for Jason Howard on black. His car not moving. Probably a brush kind of misshapen or something, or maybe too flat. Coming up next, we're going to have a Fairview IT preliminary cup race before we start the season. We're experimenting with a new racing style coming up next. It's called 2 and Out. So I hope you tune in for that as we restart the stream for the Cup Series. It will be on the oval track, and the way that it works is if you come out twice during the heat, you're done. And the track, I'm not mistaken, won't get turned off unless they can't get the cars back on. We used to race this way down in the basement, and you would be surprised how clean people race after that initial first wreck of coming off the track. Paul Woosley showing some family love there. Glenn Burden sharing some family love also. currently have 1 minute left in this heat as we have some issues with the car currently, and it looks like these guys are trying to round back around and get this race back going. Robert Whitaker there, leaning up against the corner of the wall next to red lane as he moves in, talking to Paul Woosley. Glenn Burden putting Jason Howard's car back on as I think we're fixing to be ready to go green again. Jason Howard with an impressive 1.92 on black. Right there with Tim Hall, as Tim Hall is on yellow lane. Sometimes these lanes can be reciprocal, but I'll tell you what, Tim Hall just really has his car tuned for this circle track. Going to be a hard one to beat, but we challenge anybody to come and give him a run for his money. It's anybody's game. I do appreciate it. All right, everybody's ready. Glenn Burden just laying back right there, just getting comfortable in the middle of the track there. We had a slick move there by Jason Howard as he pulled right in front of Bruce Bullington and Tim Hall and made the pass there for Black, actually lowering his median time off of that one lap. And he comes off right there. That's probably going to put it right back as we see Paul Woosley took a hit there, and he's going to get put back behind the start-finish line. Ooh, and a hard hit. Tim Hall just slammed a car right there. I think that might have been Glenn Burden's car he ran into. Usually you see stuff like that, there might be a bent axle involved in that action. And just think, Tim Hall was going to be the flag man tonight at Windy Hollow. And my personal opinion, it was destiny it rained. It was destiny Tim Hall was here at this trial oval tonight at Lanes Raceway, looking to get him another win on the trial oval. They put Glenn Burden back down in a cluster there at the end of Dead Man's Corner. This may prove detrimental come the next time they roll around there. Let's hope not. Let's hope they get a good, clean run out of this. Got some really tight racing there up against Orange. Robert Whitaker able to hold true. So we got a big wreck coming out of Dead Man's Corner. Looks like Paul Woosley was involved. Bruce Bullington. And Robert Whitaker. All three involved in that wreck. I think Tim Hall came out off of yellow.